I already told you people. First one's free. Then what I say? I said I will shut that shit down. No exceptions. Now, I don't know what kind of lying assholes you've been dealing with, but I'm a man of my word. First impressions are important. I need you to know me. So, back to it.
Whoa, what's good, YouTube? Back again with this part. It's gonna be part 33 concerning how white folks got so rich. And this part is going to be actually the longest part that I've done. So this video probably will be about 30 minutes, depending on how I expound or whatever. I'm gonna try not to do so much just for the sake of time. I really want you guys to get this book, How White Folks Got So Rich. Study it, research it, and pretty much build your own arguments, your own cases, so that when you do engage in conversation with Whitey, Cracker, Cones, Toms, and sellouts as well, you could be well rounded in your information, well diverse in your information, and not just this book, but this book will give you something to work with. Also, there's a book by Howard Zinn. I keep forgetting the name of that book. I'm gonna have to put that in the description box. But you know what? Let me see. It's called A People's History of the United States. Kind of thick, well worth a read. And those two books, especially A People's History of the United States, and just the part about the Indians, it's a lot of stuff you didn't know, that was going on in that era. A lot of things that the history books don't mention. But yeah, getting right into this part, building of American cities. Okay, now, never mind. Let's get right into it. Millions of jobs were created by the massive public work projects launched throughout America, such as the building of New York City, one of the largest construction projects since the building of the Great Wall of China, built to protect the Chinese from marauding Europeans, by the way. That's actually in the book. White ethnic immigrants got the lion's share of those publicly funded jobs, where they learned the skills that catapulted them into control of the construction trades today. The top official in this massive project was New York's racist city planner, Robert Moses. His biography is titled The Power Broker, for good reason. There is no one in the 20th century that wielded more power and affected more of the nation's iconic landscape than the largely unknown Robert Moses. Nearly every construction project of note in New York was built by his permission and under his direction, including the expressways, the bridges, the parkways, the housing projects, the playgrounds and parks and zoos, skating rinks, pools, golf courses, beaches, and even the dam at Niagara, all built under his authority. No mere politician or combination of politicians could match the raw power wielded by Robert Moses over New York. He was also a vicious racist who used his power to oppress black and Latino people. Moses provides a textbook example of the power of one racism crazed city planner to create ghettos, slums, and blight along purely racial lines. To make way for his development, Moses threw out of their homes 250,000 people, more than the population of Albany, Nashville, or Sacramento. And according to biographer Robert Cairo, a disproportionate share of them were black, Puerto Rican, and poor. And that quote you can actually find in the book called The Spirit of Cities, Why the Identity of City Matters in a Global Age. And that's going to be on page, when you get the book, that's on page 255. The chapter is called the City of Ambition. Let's see here. I'm going to read that entire portion. Check this out. Critics also object to the brutal way Moses carried out urban development. Carroll estimates that for his public works project, Moses evicted 500,000 people from their homes, and more significant even than the number of the dispossessed were their characteristics. A disproportionate share of them were black, Puerto Rican, and poor. But Moses made no apology for his methods. You cannot build a city without moving people. You cannot make an omelet without breaking eggs. We do indeed sympathize with tenants and do everything possible to help them, but we cannot give everybody and his lawyer what they want. Just to show the gall of this guy, the utter vitriol. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people may think that, you know, that he had the right to say something like that, or, you know, it's something that needs to be understood, but it's not. Why the hell would anybody need a city, you know, that damn big, you know, where you have to move half a million people? Yeah, I'm sorry, but he's the guy. Just, you know, you don't the way that white people think, you see what I'm saying, it's fucking pathetic. I mean, it's really pathetic. You know, you want to say, look, their idea of advancement in society is technology. Tricknology, takeaway knowledge, whatever you want to call it, it's not beneficial to society. The whole purpose of culture and heritage doesn't have to have a lot to do with things that are created. You know, what about chemtrails? What about fluoride in the water? All of these things help you as white people, but they are harmful, to black people. Not just, with the pineal gland and this, that, and third, but overall health, period. The way that white people think, man, I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm finna move on. I don't want to dwell on that. Let's see where we at. Okay, when Moses built housing for poor people, he built housing bleak, sterile, cheap, expensive, of patronizing condescension in every line. And he built it in locations that contributed to the ghettoization of the city, dividing up the city by color and income. And you also seen this in the other part where we were talking about Levittown. And in the other part we were talking about gentrification and redlining. You see what I'm saying? And this is something that still goes on today in the housing market, or concerning race. Google it, racism in the housing market. It's that simple. Moses conspired with American labor unions to specifically deny blacks and Latinos the many thousands of construction jobs the project created. That is not all. He restricted the use of state parks by poor and lower middle class families by limiting access to the parks by rapid transit. He instructed an aide to build the bridges across his new parkways too low for buses to pass. Even Governor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the future president, wouldn't interfere when he found out that Moses was discouraging Negroes from using many of the state parks. He believed blacks were dirty and purposely set policies to discourage their use of state facilities. And white people still believe that. Matter of fact, I wanted to say this, that a lot of those those YouTubers or whatever who leave comments and things like that, and I don't want to necessarily call it trolling, but if the shoe fit, wear it. They leave these crazy ass comments, that don't have anything to do with the discussion. They're just throwing out harsh words, you know what I'm saying? Like they're making fun of people, and the way that the words that they use, the way that they choose their words, it's not, it makes you wonder, because you don't see their face first and foremost. And to me, I always wonder when I see that, I wonder if this is somebody that I know. You see what I'm saying? Because all white people feel that way. Start an argument. If you're in an interracial relationship with the white person, start a discussion with them concerning anything that has to do with race relations and politics. And you will be able to know by their tone how far they really want to go, with that conversation. If they're hiding something. You see what I'm saying? But they all think that we're dirty. But see, then again, we're not the ones who get wet and smell like dog. But I digress. He instructed an aide. Okay, we read that part. Facilities. Okay, yeah, we read that. Moses poured tens of millions of dollars into creating new parks in New York for whites, but claimed he couldn't do nothing for inner city areas where blacks lived. He added 132 acres to the parts of a park most likely to be used by white people, but not 1 acre of that part of the park most likely to be used by blacks. He was convinced that black people did not like cold water, so the temperature at his public pools was deliberately kept especially cold. Damn fool. The list of crimes against blacks and Latinos committed by the Jewish Robert Moses is virtually endless. Robert Caro's Pulitzer Prize-winning book is 1,300 pages. But the hundreds of thousands of jobs and careers he denied to blacks and Latinos in the fields of construction, transportation, manufacturing, government, administration, among many untold others, must be considered one of the greatest racial crimes of the 20th century. And here is why. Here's why. This isn't in the book. This is Tammuz talking. When we talk about how the system has held us back, this is what we're talking about when we say that the system held us back. All of those people that you put out of homes, you could have gave them jobs in order to make some kind of income, in order to maintain their family, during that time. Now, not only that, you could have gave these black people jobs, and those black people at that time would have learned how to save their money, invest in their money, because they had done it years prior. But then again, there's a part, I have to go back and find it, where blacks weren't, by law, black people were not able to save. And there was laws where white people could just go into a black person's house and take whatever they wanted. These are a lot of things you have to keep into consideration when you tell a black person to pull themselves up by their own bootstrap. You cannot tell black people to do something. You can't suggest anything to black people that you weren't able to do yourself. None of your ancestors pulled themselves up by their own bootstrap. Matter of fact, the only people that I got respect for, well, I won't even say respect for, but the only white people that I can actually say that pull themselves up by their own bootstrap is the ones that actually haul tail from Europe to bring their white asses over here to America. But once they got over here, what did they do to the Indians? They fucked off over the Indians. But that was the only time your race of people pulled themselves up by their own bootstrap, was to get away from King Henry, or whatever the damn king name was at that time. They hauled tail, hopped on boats, and they brought their asses over here. Now, as far as Columbus and, and that, privilege. White privilege is real. White privilege is real, no matter how much you want to deny it. White privilege is real, and white privilege is not a matter of, white people always get it. It's not just that. Because when I really get ready to haul tail, concerning white privilege, when I really just lay that information on you, Ben Shapiro, whatever the Jew want to call himself, and then you got Richard Spencer, all these fools thinking that they can debunk white privilege. But white privilege it's right there. It's right there. It's right there waiting on you. It's not just something where white people always get away with this, or white people always get away with that. White privilege comes from the system of white supremacy, racist white supremacy. I'm not going to get too much into it. I'm not going to give it all away. I'm not going to give it away. But it wasn't that long. It wasn't that long. But yeah, that's what it is, man. That's what it is. This country has held us back for 400 years. And in covert ways, they are still holding us back. Are we complaining about this? No. But it has to be addressed for many of those black people who do not see what's going on around them. These black people who think that we can all just get along with, no. We can't just get along with white people. We can't move forward together as a people. How in the hell can we move forward with any race of people when we don't know who we are ourselves? We have to gain our identity back. We have to rehabilitate ourselves to our original state of consciousness in order for us to move forward with anybody. But the establishment does not want that to happen, because we have shown the world what we were able to do as a united-minded people. Black Wall Street, Rosewood, Greenwood, all of these black towns, and many black towns people have never heard of. You bombed it. Not just Black Wall Street, man. Look at what your boy, what was his name? Robert Moses. Look what your boy Robert Moses did. You see what I'm saying? It's systemic. It's not. See, when it comes to racism, white people expect, or what they really try to make it into is they want ignorant black people or unknowing black people to think that racism today should be as what racism was back in the 50s, 60s. Police sicking dogs on people, water holes, and then civil rights movement and lynchings, and all of this shit is still going on. But because it isn't as widespread as it was in the 50s, 60s, you know, they want to think that they're debunking what they would call rhetoric, when in actuality, racism is as prevalent today and more so widespread than it was in the past.
You still there? I don't know. It seems like you're trying to speak, but you just took a hell of a hit. I just popped your skull so hard, your eyeball just popped out. And it is gross as shit. God, I'll find you. Oh, hell. I can see this is hard on you guys. I am sorry. I truly am. But I did say it. No exceptions.